So, the selectmen have asked us as a group to write our own charge and submit it to them. And I was I've been talking briefly to Courtney about it, and we both think that something really straightforward, like to update the 2008 local comprehensive plan according to the regional policy plan framework and take it through the process for ultimate acceptance by the commission and town meeting, something like that. Are you guys comfortable with that?
Yeah.
All right,
Sounds good.
so we will, Courtney, could you be in charge of submitting that to the Board of Selectmen? Just for in correspondence. I don't think it needs to be an agenda item. I really don't want to discuss it. I just want to submit it.
Okay.
If they want us to come and discuss it, or they want to amend it, they'll do so, but I would rather have it be under correspondence, because there's no real opinions about that, and it's just pretty straightforward. All right, so then we go on to our mission statement, and are we going to do, is it mission or vision?
Both, I guess, right?
I couldn't figure that out myself.
Thank you.
I think it's more vision.
I think it was vision, yeah.
All right, so we'll call it our vision statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so, several of you have submitted ideas. So I'm not gonna fall for that again, I'll just pass it one way. And,
I'll never be able to live that down.
Hey, that's what you have against you.
I'll remember it forever, Mike, don't worry about it. And then pass the second one, please. And if we're short, just let me know and I will make some copies. Because when I was making these copies,
Not necessarily. These are not mine.
okay.
I think.
These are Jennifer's, right?
The first one was Jennifer, I think, yeah.
I think that the Cape Cod Commission book, you know, that
Right,
nice lady,
Right.
yes, I forgot her name,
Martha.
Martha, had both vision and mission. Two separate, anyways, I'm trying to remember, but I think the first time you gave us an assignment, it was to do a mission statement, and then that got changed to a vision statement. And I kind of think they have both in their book.
I know, I think, it was 2 months ago, so.
Yeah, I know.
Pardon me if,
Trouble too, yeah.
what I remember was that we talked about the place types, and then having a
Yes.
vision statement for each of the place types,
Uh-huh.
and then an overall mission/vision for the whole
For the
plan.
whole plan, right,
So,
right. Okay.
I guess today what we need to talk about is, do we start micro and go to macro, or vice versa? The way my mind works, I'm more comfortable with the smaller, more specific, and then see where the merging of all the specific areas brings us for an overall statement. Because I'd hate to make an overall statement and then try to cram the place types into it. I'd rather let the place types drive the overall mission
Right.
vision statement. So having said that, any suggestions on how we need to approach this process? If we do by place type first,
So there's three.
there's 3 people have submitted 3 separate thoughts.
Okay.
And Jay most recently submitted this one, which I think is a very good framework for what we want to do to start. If you read the other ones, Jennifer's, which is the 2-pager, bless you.
Courtney did one.
Yeah, I did.
I actually did something I never remember anybody. I have a copy of it here.
Okay.
I'm
Would you
sure
like
it's
me
not
to-
that difficult.
would-
I mean, this strikes me as stuff, things that like, what might work best to go through this is if we had a blackboard or something like that, or, you know, something on the wall.
Like a whiteboard, yeah.
Yeah, a whiteboard maybe,
Yeah.
but we don't have that. I mean, just to kind of see, you know, like in a couple of words, what everybody has in common and
Right, exactly.
see if something jumps out.
I don't even think we have a flip chart. I mean, you know, old fashioned with a marker and lines.
I mean,
I agree with you.
Courtney can do it on her computer.
So the way I tried to frame
Yeah,
it
thank you.
was to really go through the Wellfleet segments and try and fit those into place types. And that kind of drove my draft vision statements for each. So I don't know if it's worth discussions on, because if you look at the parentheses next to each one, those are the certain Wellfleet segments that I thought would be most appropriate for, to putting them into the place types.
Okay,
Some of them are questionable.
can I just ask you to run through each one?
Sure.
As a jumping off point for
Yeah.
discussion, that would be great.
Yep.
And what are the numbers referred to? I don't understand.
Do you have a copy of the regional policy plan?
They got
Because,
electronically.
oh, no, well, Courtney has hard copies at the administration office. You
The
wanna
big-
pick
the big-
the big
the big
ones, yes.
But the numbers on here refer to the segments that we have.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
What
Yep.
segment?
Here, in that,
In that
I provided that to you.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
that's what I kind of referred to.
Right,
That's the numbers.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, so that's from a former meeting, got it.
So basically going through each one, you have natural areas, rural development areas, historic areas, maritime areas, community activity centers, and light industrial activity centers. And those are the place types that I believe was the consensus amongst the group that were gonna be appropriate for Wellfleet. Because there were a few up in there like urban development, suburban development that
We
we,
want that.
right.
Military transport.
well, that's for the Upper Cape Towns
We
Board.
crossed some things out.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So I think it was 6 place types that we agreed on. So in parentheses, those numbers correlate, like we just said, to the Wellfleet segments. So 1 is natural resources, groundwater, ponds, harbors, beaches. So I thought that would fit obviously into natural areas. 3 is Herring River restoration, and 10 is energy and climate action.
I put open space 4 too. Shouldn't that be in natural?
Sorry.
Yeah, see, I thought that would go in rural development
Email.
areas.
Okay.
I think we can go in
But it's
two.
up to-
I know.
I think
Yeah.
my vision is that
Yeah, I got it.
some numbers of our numerical list are going to fit in more than one place type.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the flexibility of using the place types, because we don't have to have a discussion, should it be here or there?
Right,
We can put it in both.
right.
So to Jan's question, I think
Yeah.
you can add 4 to number 1
Okay.
and still have it in number 2.
Okay.
I think that's totally appropriate, because I think one of the problems is trying to pigeonhole activities.
That's exactly.
Right.
Like for instance, number 7, which was community housing, I was having a hard time trying to identify a certain place type for that based on the Cape Cod Commission descriptions.
Right, well, I agree with you that it would also go under community activity centers,
Right.
because,
And that community activities center, yeah.
So rural development and community
Yeah,
activity.
well, I mean, in terms of the vision statement though, I mean, you don't want to get too much into specific activities, I think, that you would get lost. And I don't know if it's that important, I mean, except in obvious cases, to mention all that. I keep on coming back to the Brewster document that we looked at where, which was, it gave a great broad vision without being too concise about certain things.
but I think Martha said that wasn't their local comprehensive plan, that was a sort of a guidance document for them.
Well, that's sort of like what, I'm thinking like, then we have to maybe discuss it, what we want for a local comprehensive
Exactly.
plan, maybe go backwards from there.
Yeah, I think we haven't gone anywhere, so I don't think there's a backwards here. I think it's just
Well, I
open
mean,
discussion.
To get someplace that you can go backwards
Because
from.
we're working, we're looking on framework, we have a lot of information, a lot of, science-based and community input-based information to put in the plan. What I'm looking for is a framework. If we, like our own reference numbers, like natural areas, we wouldn't reference those necessarily in the vision statement. But when we do natural areas, all of those will be covered in detail under the vision statement.
Right.
So we don't have to broaden the vision statement.
You mean under the
So
plan?
the vision statement should be more about what we see happening in the future.
Exactly.
So I had a lot of trouble fitting my ideas of what a comprehensive plan into the place types framework. So what I'm thinking, when I think of, that sustainable, year-round jobs as like a really important area to be in the comprehensive plan, it kind of, there's some, you can fit it into the place-based thing, but I think that, I would have that as the main objective, and then kind of in a plan, you would set some goals for how many jobs you want to create by the end of 5 years. And affordable housing is the other huge one. And then there's a vision of attracting and maintaining a healthy economy for young families to stay in Wellfleet, which is a huge part of the vision, And so I guess, and I was just having a lot of trouble when I sat down to try to do this, putting what I keep hearing from everybody is really important into the place-based framework. And so I don't want to throw a span into the works.
Well, no, I
But
think
I've just got to say that I had a hard time. I had a hard time doing this exercise and ended up not doing it for that reason.
Well, that's valid. I mean, I think that, again, it would be pigeonholing and difficult for you. I don't see any reason for us to limit the comprehensive plan to place type identification. We could have our own sections on housing and
kind of
economic development and that kind of thing, in addition to this. But these are where we can foster some of those things. I don't think one is exclusive of the other.
Yeah.
I think we can incorporate both, but I also don't want to have a 200-page plan.
Right.
I would like something that people, like Brewster had, that, I think theirs was 12. I would be willing to go for 20 if we wanted to, with appendices, because the appendices are usually longer than the plan itself. So if people are like detail oriented, they can go to Appendix B and see everything that's referred to in the plan, as opposed to incorporating all the numbers and statistics and things that make some people's eyes cross within the body of the plan.
Yeah, so maybe like, kind of going off of what you said, Suzanne, if we have our place types here based on the RPP, but if we can add a place type that would mold more into things that aren't fitting into some of these categories, like economic development, affordable housing, that could be one category in itself.
Right, and I think that when we say affordable housing, we have to define what we mean by affordable housing.
Right.
I think it's in Truro, they started referring to it as workforce housing, which means people who are fully employed and still can't afford to live here
Yes.
should have a place they can afford to live because they're fully employed. So I think
like
that's the kind of tweaking I'd like to do, because it isn't subsidized housing, it's if you're employed and there's two of you working, you should be able to affordable place to live.
That's
Yeah.
small A affordable versus capital A.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
can find a difference.
But
Uh-huh.
in order for that to happen, I mean, the way things are, it's not gonna happen.
No,
It's not gonna happen. We're working now on the last piece of town-owned property that we can put affordable house, whatever section, whatever it's gonna be, developer-based housing near the ball field across from the school. But, that's it. We can make accessory dwelling units legal without putting an affordable caveat on it. And there's a lot of people for and against that. We tried to make all these illegal things legal, and that didn't really work. Or we can really change, with people on town water, without worrying about a well drawdown, you could make accessory dwelling units possible on a lot of different kinds of lots. It would increase the density of the town,
which flips over to sewers,
which is a major kind of thing.
because there's a scientific and a sort of ethical question. Do you want to increase the density to the point where you're damaging the harbor or the water, underground water? I mean, there's a delicate balance.
That's what I said with people who want, if you're on
Town water.
If you're on town water, it tends, but we're not totally on town water either.
Not even close.
And not likely to be.
Well, yeah, and to keep it as far as density, we will never see a year-round population as dense as we do in the summer. So if you consider we're already set up to house 20,000 people in this town, and we don't
Do it.
do it. So we already have much of the infrastructure in place that's been permitted, certified. Nobody's living in these empty houses all winter.
Right.
So, the density issue, I don't think is as critical.
It is interesting to, especially now that the summer's over, to consider having that kind of density year-round.
Like Orlando.
Well, the town would radically change. I don't think anybody wants that.
Well, it's happening in major cities in the country now. There's this huge thing going on in Minneapolis I've been reading about, where they're getting away from single-family zoning. Which is pretty much the model, everywhere.
Yeah, but we're not a city.
Yeah, we're not Minneapolis.
There's
Anyway, I really am digressing from the.
I think we're getting a little off topic,
Right.
a little, but I do think that this point would be, well, it would be good for us to at least have some recognition of vision about in the plan, because maybe if you own a second home, even if you're not on town water, you can put an affordable or accessory dwelling on your property. Because it's a year-round versus 2 months, there'll be 6 more people there, which is manageable.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure the science of that, so it's just off, but I think we need to have it in our vision.
Well, we still have to, all that needs to be qualified with lot sizes, in bedrooms per 10,000 acres. So
absolutely.
it's not going to apply to many lots
Well,
anyway.
the 10,000 square foot per bedroom is all about septic systems and wells.
Right.
That's what it's
Right,
about.
exactly.
It's based on 110 gallons per day per bedroom. When you have town water, and this was the way it was in Orleans forever, if you were on town water, you could do whatever you wanted in terms of bedrooms or anything. I designed a 7-bedroom house on a 30,000 square foot lot, which was perfectly legal. But then they changed their regs. I always call it backdoor zoning, because what they said is we have to protect the ponds and estuaries. So we're going back to 10,000 square feet per bedroom no matter what.
Well, I think that is something that we need to, even if we can't solve it around this table, which obviously we can't because better minds than mine have been at this for a long time. But we need to have language about a vision, like that the powers that be, the planners, the planning board, the water and sewer experts, that should be a vision, that there's an ongoing thing. Bonnie?
Yeah, so I mean, I would frame something, I mean, in my mind, I would call it an objective, but not call it a vision. You know, which is basically the objective is to, or the vision is to expand the availability of workforce housing in Wellfleet.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
Really, yeah.
You know, and then, you know, some thoughts about how all these different place-based things need to be taken into account, you know.
And in the appendix,
You
you
know,
can have our
not-
health regulations.
Yeah, not threatening the health of the water supply, you know, taking climate change into account and rising sea levels, I mean, all of that. Yeah.
I recognize Courtney, I'm sorry.
So, I like the way that Jay did this because when I took a look at it, because what I remember from many months ago was we were supposed to take the Wellfleet segments and put them into the places that we had, which is pretty much what Jay did. But I appreciate that he did a vision for each one.
Yes.
I did an overall vision, mission statement for the thing, but I think we can definitely add another one, but I think it's really important that we have individual, the way I see it is we have one mission statement for like the town or for the plan, and then we have these individual vision statements. And I think
Right.
that what Jay has done here is really good, and I think even just making like a 7 economic vitality one can include all these things
Exactly.
we're talking about and
Yep.
create a vision for that. But I think given the sort of time crunch that we're on and things like that, I think if we go on this sort of like rubric of like, okay, we have these different place types, we have this vision for each, and what segments that we've already predetermined, these 12 things fit into them. So I like sticking with that plan. I think you had really good vision statements for each one. I didn't even think to make a vision statement for each place type, so I think that was good. I just wanted what the commission had like described them as, but I think,
Right.
I think like this is a good format for how to
frame it.
to frame it and to
Yeah.
move forward, yeah. And there's 6, if we made 7, you had 2 pages for each, that's 14 pages for a plan right there.
Plus,
And
yeah.
And then we have the appendices, you
And then
know?
executive summary, people
Yeah.
who only want to read one
Yeah.
page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think this is a good
I agree with Courtney, I would like to move forward and add the 7th, economic vitality.
I have economic vitality on my list, which nobody's seen except for me.
Well, good, thank you, Jay.
I didn't think to email it and then everything went.
I got a copy of it somehow, so you,
It's not
What I
place.
what I wrote for economic
Objective.
vitality was.
We can just, we're wealthy, we can pick our plans the way we want.
I just have one sentence.
What's that?
We want our existing businesses to continue to thrive and encourage new businesses where appropriate.
yeah. I think we want economic vitality to include
And the word
housing as well
appropriate,
and
you
more
can
things.
expand it.
Yeah.
Right, and I think housing is part of that, because if you're gonna have,
We didn't have any support.
flourishing existing businesses, new businesses being established, workforce is part of that, and housing for them is also part of that, so that would be goals underneath economic vitality. Because I think that we need to have a goal, a series of goals under each
And just to
subsection.
take a step back from
That's what we're
the
making.
way that, the reason that this came out,
Guys. Sorry, Matt,
the reason that this came out this way from the Cape Cod Commission is because they recognize that boards in the towns that were trying to develop this had such a hard time creating the framework. So I think we need to remind ourselves, this is really the framework that the Cape Cod Commission has recommended that we can kind of follow, but we should add whatever we feel.
absolutely, to make it
Necessary.
specific Wellfleet
Right.
plan.
Right.
And I think there, yes, Jen?
And I think if you just look at these separate segments and these separate things, and in each case, just think, how do we protect what we have,
Yeah,
and how do we grow it?
right.
And those are the 2 things that we need to do in the plan.
I absolutely
is
agree.
Protect and grow.
Oh my God, it's raining out. Sorry, that sounds like an overall mission statement, part of an overall mission statement to me. That's a
Yeah.
good phrase to build our overall statement around.
Right. Okay.
Because I deal with a lot of summer visitors, face to face, and some of them are here for the first time, some of them are here for their 40th summer in Wellfleet, and the thing they like the best is it doesn't change.
We gotta protect
Right.
what.
They have, and they recognize the improved services, but the feeling of Wellfleet, we
Right.
have preserved so far, and that's to our credit.
Can I just read the mission statement that I created?
Please.
Okay, so I have like a short version and a long version, I'll read the long one, so. The town of Wellfleet is committed to building on its heritage while enhancing a quality of life for all citizens in the future. Through collaboration with its residents and business community, the town will ensure, with its rich history and natural resources, that it fulfills the needs of the community by fostering an environment for responsible growth by means of providing a variety of housing, business, cultural, and recreational opportunities in a safe, sustainable, and attractive environment.
Oh, I move that we adopt that as our overall mission statement.
How can you beat that?
Yeah, and seriously, I think it's excellent, Courtney, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I read it when you first put it out, and I thought, well, I don't know why the rest of us are relevant.
I
Why would you
honestly-
just say thank you?
What,
Honestly, just kind
I
of
just say,
took a
what
bunch of
Courtney
towns
said.
and put them together.
Exactly. Yeah, Courtney.
Yeah, so the short version is the town of Wellfleet is committed to ensuring with its rich history and natural resources that it fulfills the needs of the community by fostering an environment for responsible growth by means of providing a variety of housing, business, cultural, and recreational opportunities in a safe, sustainable, and attractive environment.
Oh, I like that too.
So I like the short.
I like the
version
short
better.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both,
That's
I
the
think,
natural
there's just like
editor.
2 lines that are cut out of.
Why don't we
Yeah.
keep them both on hold, and when
Okay.
we're putting the final document together, and make the final decision on short or long version at that time?
I can and I'll resend this out to
Thank you,
everybody.
thank you. I have it electronically, but not in front of me, so I think, because I see us as more as much copy editors as anything else on this, and so, I also, can we have a vote that will go with Jay's outline and add economic vitality with this Jay's wording?
Do we have
I gotta get
enough
this
of
straight.
that,
Jay with the glasses is going to email us his wording for economic vitality.
I think that's under maritime, which you can expand on.
I think we need to, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see very much about the oyster.
Well, I think we can tweak the vision statement so that, I think we're just voting on the 7 place types.
Right,
Right.
Yeah, okay.
and definitely shellfishing is,
It's really,
and it's grown beyond Wellfleet, because now the shellfishermen have banded together, and they are, unified against being taken over by larger entities, and I think it's really important
that we get.
Right.
and they definitely fit under maritime areas, there's no question.
So just so I understand where we're going, so we're going to adopt this framework. We're then going to work on vision statements within each one of these.
Well, I think these vision statements are draft vision statements for each one of these. Anybody has an improvement or a change, and what I would like for the next meeting is, because Jay has articulated in the numbers, does everybody have the list, the Wellfleet list
Yeah.
from before? Because if not, we can resend that. And then
I have
underneath,
it at home.
put a few goals under
Right.
each one, and then next meeting, I'll have the flip chart.
Oh, and do you have recreation somewhere
I don't have it myself.
here? Because that was not one of the segments. And I've often wondered about that
Well,
somehow-
Community
Where
activities
can we
center.
stick that into?
Oh, I think it goes in a couple areas.
Yeah, I think it goes, I think it works, yeah, all
And
over the
natural
place.
areas too.
Because it doesn't have a number, because it's not on the segments.
Right, that's why we're adding to this is the beginning, Jen, and then we can add what we
All right,
all
but I'm
think is
talking
important.
about under 12 segments that we're referring
Right,
to.
Well, there is-
recreation.
Shouldn't we have 13 and put recreation?
Well, we have, there is community facilities and resources.
Well, so we do one of two things, we can add 13 to our working list, and then
Well,
also add recreation under community activity centers, and I have a strong vote for recreation in natural areas, because so much of our recreation is ocean-based, trail-based,
Yeah,
outside
Right.
stuff based.
right.
right,
It's not very technical, but that's,
yeah, I think it might be better to keep the framework as narrow as we can, and then recreation, for instance, under natural resources, I think what I did was more of what I thought were the goals for each area, but I
Right,
have
exactly.
provide for passive recreation.
Right.
That's the first thing I list under the
Right.
natural area.
yeah.
Of course.
So I think recreation, I think that's more of a thing that we can then work into
Right.
each one of these
Right.
place types
Right.
to keep it, you know,
Yeah, so the things that Mac worked up are really the next meeting's topics, when we'll have the flip chart and the markers.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, those are more like what happens in those
right,
areas
so we can,
versus
you know,
visions.
nobody does a meeting like Sky, but we can sort of riff. I'll try to get the flip chart that has the sticky thing, and we can just put them all up on the wall
I was
as
gonna
we
say
fill
that,
them up.
we do need to remind ourselves of the meetings that Sky did put together and the input that we got from the community, because
Right,
that
and that would be
helps
something
inform
that
us.
Mike has in his office or computer.
Have you seen that yet?
No, well, yeah, I was actually gonna ask that, you know, because, I'd be happy to volunteer to take a look at all that past data and just see
She-
if there's quotes, if there's
She-
themes that.
We
Yeah.
have,
We
she
haven't
broke it
discussed
down to,
There's a lot of
do you remember how she?
information
There's a lot of
Yeah.
information, but I don't have physical custody of it. And
I'm gonna
Mike,
look for it.
Mike is
I
gonna
don't know if
look
it's in
for
my
it.
office, but I'll look.
I don't know what Dan has, also, because he took
check
some stuff when
I'll
he
check with Dan.
rejuvenated this
Some of my
group.
stuff. Actually,
So
The
I,
TA did say he was gonna look through it at one.
right,
at
so
one
if we
time.
can just, he
Yeah.
could
It's
actually
possible he has.
take the
possession of
pile and hand it to Mike, and then we can go
Yeah.
from there.
I just remember a document that she put together that summarized the whole
Yes,
thing and
yes.
what was represented and what was said and like check marks and
She
Yeah.
probably has.
I'm sure she
I
does.
mean,
if-
if somebody could contact
Push-
her and just
Yeah,
get the.
I will,
document.
yeah, we'll
That's
try
the
town
one we
hall
have.
first and see what's available in town hall, and then if not, we will reach out to Sky, who will take pity on us and share, I'm sure.
See,
Because those meetings were really well-attended,
Well run.
well-run, for sure, and a good cross-section of the Wellfleet population was there.
Yeah.
A lot of interests.
Moms and babies even.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
That was,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Because we provided childcare.
Accomplishment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good.
And.
Yes, fine.
And I'd just like to say, I'm remembering, because I attended one of those meetings, and it was really good, that there were themes that are not here, but are definitely on the minds of the community,
Right,
like
that's why-
education.
Yeah.
Right,
You know, so, I mean, just as you said,
that's what we need.
so there's definitely, in the vision, there's gotta be a vision for, a thriving educational system from preschool on, for
Well, I think
for families.
since we had those meetings, the town has instituted the voucher system for 3 and 4 year olds.
Yes, I know.
So we are actually moving along while the plan's not moving along, but the town is moving along. So that's really, it's exciting to see how many 3 and 4 year olds are actually living in Wellfleet. It's really nice.
The school population's gonna spike again. It's really interesting how school populations, it happens in big cities too. There'll be low points and then higher points, and it goes from.
There's a big kindergarten class this year, over 20 kids in the kindergarten.
there?
Yeah,
Well,
That's exciting.
yes it is.
20, 19 or 20. We have 108 children now.
You're over 100?
There's 108 now?
108 right now.
Lots of sets of twins in Wellfleet over the past 3
Yeah.
or 4
Really
years.
up from last year. We're very happy about that.
The school's kind of built for like 200, up to 200, right?
Possibly, we've never.
Yeah, I know you never had that.
We've never had 200 there.
But I remember.
Plenty
In the
capacity.
days it was K through 12. They didn't have two. That used to be a K through 12.
I went there when it was K through 12.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, there you go.
Well, I have to admit that in 7th grade, they had built a middle school in Orleans, and we went there.
Yeah. But you remember Betty and Marty and those guys?
Do you know how long it takes a 2nd grader to write Wellfleet Consolidated School on every work page? A long time.
Good for you, Susan. Okay. Anyway,
How long is our current plan? It's really long. isn't it?
It's a couple hundred pages. You had.
Yeah, I didn't bring it in with me, but it's about this thick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well, I think that one of the things we had mentioned when Brian was still leading this charge was the opportunity with the plan is to offer as appendix some of the reports that have been done, like on housing and all the other key areas that we have, current valid reports that should be part of an appendix system. We don't have to cover all that information in the plan, but if you are interested mostly in housing, there's your appendix for you. So I think that that's really something that maybe Courtney and I can, between now and the next meeting, look and see what plans there are available in the administration office that we could use as appendices, and that will give us then we'll know where we have to bring in the public meeting information for the plan and what is already covered in the
Yeah, because I know there's like already a harbor plan, or the harbor dredging maintenance plan, all that, so all those, and
Right.
there are a lot of reports on the website that we can look through and just.
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
It's a housing plan.
Yes, yeah, that needs.
I don't know how many graduate student classes have done studies on different aspects of the town. I don't know if that, any of that stuff.
Well, I'm a graduate student, I'd be glad to conduct a study.
No, but I mean, there's stuff out there someplace.
Yes,
You know what I mean? I don't know where it is, but it's around.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to a couple of charrettes. A very early one I remember was on Mayo Creek. And that was 20-something years ago, so and there's a lot of, and we don't want them to turn into what Alice Boyd calls smile and files. Say, thank you for your report, put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, so.
The 08 LCP should give you a good start on appendix, you know, what documents are in that, good starting point, and then you can go from there.
That's good. But I want people to read this plan. I don't want to make it so onerous that
Yeah.
people aren't willing to take half an hour and look over it.
And we said that we want it to be the document where like boards and committees and town departments can refer to back to
Right.
be able to make decisions.
And to justify
Exactly.
their recommendations for capital outlay. So, all
Yep.
right, so next meeting, we will, under our 7 adopted areas, which it doesn't mean that we can't end up with an 8th one as well, but for right now, we have 7, work on goals for each place type and number 7, economic vitality. And then from the goals, we can build our verbiage. And that way we can rely on the public input we already have and the reports that we already have. And then wherever there's gaps, we'll figure out how we want to fill the gaps.
Sounds good.
Bonnie, you have a question, I can see it on your face.
Sorry to do this, but I'm still bothered by the fact that these are all places and economic vitality is a large, and it kind of, economic vitality kind of fits into the grow and protect themes that you had. And I thought that somehow there can be larger categories. So under growth, there would be economic vitality, workforce housing, the things that we want more of. And under protect, we could have a lot of the environmental issues, you know, the recreation opportunities, the historic areas, you know, so you could still have the place-based thing, but have kind of more general objectives
So
that have to do with protection and with.
You're suggesting a different format.
Well, a slightly different format. I think this exercise is still exactly what needs to be done. But I think economic vitality is a completely different
Oh, you're talking.
order of things.
It's not a place type.
It's not a place type, it shouldn't be number 7, it's more under the the broad growth and protect themes that she was proposing. And so I just think that,
What if we called it economic vitality areas?
yeah,
And then that could include, it could include the specific areas. Like for me, I did include suburban development areas because I think we talked about the Route 6 corridor, and that could be
Yeah,
an
we did.
economic vitality development area or something like that. So I think it could just be like,
Areas of economic vitality.
like if we just add that areas to it, it makes it a place type. We can also include the goals for that, which would be workforce, housing, commerce, all that sort of.
yeah.
Transportation.
What's the goal for the Route
Right.
6 corridor? That's a
Well, we don't need a goal. Well, that's the thing, we don't need well, I mean, the goal is to
I mean, that's a huge topic.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
But,
there.
you know, with
DOT
the,
and everything.
Yeah,
with the possibility of 4 or 5 marijuana outlets in Wellfleet.
that's economic.
I think that we need to balance the vitality and the protection of
Yeah.
the Route 6
Yeah,
corridor, because we don't
exactly.
want it to look like Route 28 in
Right.
Yarmouth, excuse me.
No, yeah, we
Right.
don't.
I mean, that's
But
what
we
we
also don't
like.
want to be as desolate as Route 6 in Eastham, where that's kind of like you just blow on through, you know, so,
Route 6 in Eastham, I'd like to avoid the curb cuts that Eastham has,
yeah. So
because
I-
that's a
yeah.
safety issue as far as I'm concerned.
I think there's room for it to be a place type as an economic vitality area, and then putting the goals for whatever we've determined goes under that.
You could
Yeah.
call it economic
Right.
center,
Yeah, yes.
economic
I-
center.
And then there's some, you know, and then protection, the protection theme, you know, you could, all the adaptations that need to be done for rising sea levels,
Right,
which has to
right.
be in our vision.
Right.
you know.
But I would,
And so that's also a place.
right, I think I really am personally focused on keeping it framed around place types. If we have to tweak our language to get what we want into a place type, we tweak the name of the place type, not what we want to get in there. I think that's fine, but I think I personally believe that we need to retain the place type framework, at least until next meeting, when we work on goals. And if the goals send us in a different direction,
Yeah.
then we can discuss it, but for preparation for the next meeting.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
and sorry, just to follow up,
Ancient history for preparation for next meeting, right? I mean, we need some of the information that Mike's going to research.
Right.
Because those goals in some places are already established for what people want.
Right, well, I think that once he finds whatever can be found,
Right.
it'll come out to you electronically before the next
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
Because that would be unrealistic to expect you to work on something without having it.
All right, thank you. So you got really fast work to do. Because we have a meeting in 2 weeks, is that correct?
Well, we have to discuss our meeting schedule. Jay?
There's also this kind of framework that's in the RPP that might be helpful. I don't know if any of you reviewed this, but
Yeah.
it kind of lays it out in a different format to help you look at goals and visions.
Where is
Where
that?
is that?
What is
Is
that?
that on what
It's in
the
the-
APEC commission?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Courtney, if you give it to me, I'll make copies right
Yeah.
now, and then people
Do you want me
can...
to do it, Suzanne?
Oh, sure. That is really small font.
Yeah. It's quite a bit bigger.
Maybe it's
than
just
that.
dark and
Mike has the big, yeah,
Yeah, it's quite a bit
Oh.
bigger.
it's in the,
So
plan.
Courtney has copies of this?
At her desk, yes,
Oh,
yes.
I'm gonna go get one.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what, take that out, I'll get a copy from Courtney, so.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Martha brought them to the
I think
a
the-
meeting that
the
we
meeting I
weren't
missed,
able to
yeah.
make, so I think that's what happened. And they're so heavy, I just left them with Courtney.
But it's a good way they kind of laid it all out in a different.
Suzanne?
In different forms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
79844.
Different way to look at it.
exactly.
Nice.
I was just gonna say that
Yeah. I know.
we can, there's no reason, if we feel that economic vitality is that important, as we can certainly create one more. doesn't-
Section.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to fall into this place, it can just be
Yeah.
identified as, this is, you know, whether it's a page or a half
And if
page
it's,
or.
yeah, and if it's an economic vitality overview, it probably should come after, at the beginning, and then we can get more into the weeds with the place types and how
Right.
we're gonna sustain the
Right.
economic vitality. I think we should be open to whatever is
Work for
feasible,
us, and-
and
yeah.
then doesn't get too long and
Yeah.
complicated.
Right.
I think that's my personal goal, because people are busy,
Yeah,
and I would like to be able to create this, print it, and provide it to every member of every board and committee. And when you get sworn in, you get a copy of the local comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
As part of your, along with the ethics commission and the open meeting law and all that. I think it's something that should be a given.
Just a question relative to economic vitality. Has there ever been or more recently done an economic development strategic plan for the town?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's
maybe
our,
now that you're here,
Yeah.
that could be a goal.
Even
That
through
could
the
be a
chamber, I
goal.
don't know if the chamber's done anything along
I
that.
don't know, but it could be a goal.
it should,
Because it should be, there should be
There should
focus
be.
on it.
the Community Development Corporation in Eastham, they might have something.
Yeah, Jay might have something.
Yeah, I'm meeting with him next
Another
week.
Yeah, so he might have a little bit more concrete data about anything along those lines. but-
Yeah, at least as a regional.
I wonder if there's a regional plan maybe.
Yeah.
And what, you know, further lower.
Right, Outer Cape, yeah,
Yeah.
it's, it's always,
Could definitely be a goal, at least to have an energy development committee, or a.
We have
We
them.
have a plan.
we had one for,
Well, alternative energy development committee.
Yeah,
I sat on it for a couple of years.
and
We tried to bring the windmill forward on Ocean and it failed at town meeting. And after that, the wind just got taken out of our sails.
oh, honey, no, cons. But it was interesting to know that the windiest place in Wellfleet is Whitecrest.
Yes,
Argument.
we put up a
Yeah.
test tower.
Yeah.
Put a test tower up for a whole winter and
Yeah, the
According to
selectmen,
data.
I mentioned this. The problem with the windmills is you can't put them around where people live.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
Look what
right.
happened in Falmouth, my God.
Yes.
It's not over yet.
this is why the select board, yeah.
The people that live on Ocean View Drive are there because it is isolated and undeveloped, basically. And I think that was part of the reason that the windmill was looked at with less than
Yeah, for that
full
area.
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was at the test, a test unit. It wasn't like one of the, a 400-foot or whatever, was it?
I don't know how, a couple
No, it
hundred
was
feet?
it was going to be large, and the way that it failed is that we didn't pass. The town did not pass the bylaw that would allow the maximum height that we needed. So it wouldn't have been worth it unless it was a certain size, and it just that didn't happen. But that's something to bring up. That's
Energy, we haven't really discussed that too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we do have an Energy and Climate Change Committee.
Action.
Climate Action, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. So my view is once we get a draft of the plan, it needs to go to every committee that has anything to do
Yeah.
with language, any
Right.
topic
It'll
in
come
the
back with
plan
edits and
for
input.
feedback and recommendations for additions or changes to what we thought was accurate.
Absolutely.
I know that Brian sent out like the goals from each committee that are in the 2008 plan for input. But I know for one, I was trying to help the Council on Aging Board work with the paperwork that he sent out. And they found it really hard to wrap their heads around. So when we submit it, it's going to be something the boards and committees can really grasp
Yeah.
as for their particular mission statement.
And I wonder if it can be kind of a consultative process, like if we submit a broad vision, we can invite them, so under that, first do you agree with the vision, and then next, are there particular goals or objectives
Oh,
that you
absolutely.
would want to put
Absolutely.
in there? And so have it be kind of a,
Oh, no, it won't work
Yeah.
otherwise.
yeah, exactly.
We're not foisting this on people, we're trying to create it so there's a unification of goals across the different boards and committees in one
Yeah.
document.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when you send it around to the committees, we're gonna say, we're looking for editing and additions
Input.
and whatever.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think that with the board and committee schedule, so many of them meet once a month, that we have to do that pretty soon.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah,
It might be April town meeting in 2021 that we might get this document done.
I was gonna say, I just happened to grab this yesterday when I was in
Uh-huh.
town hall. And, each committee does have a brief summary of what they've accomplished, so it's kind of nice to know what they're actually doing right now.
Right.
It's not that much to look through, but
Right.
that might help inform us before we send it to
Right.
them, and we're all kind of on the same page ahead of time.
I also, way back when the first comprehensive plan was created in the 90s, I think it was, their original committee made it one of their personal goals is to, one of their members agreed to, on an annual basis, touch base with every committee that had a goal in the plan to see how they were progressing.
Ah.
So that it was kept alive
Yeah,
while he was willing to do that. And I think that we need to create at some point some kind of follow through for this group's efforts. So that it doesn't die on the vine. An annual review in some way that's sent out querying people how they're doing. Because now you have so much more capability of doing electronically.
yeah.
The guy with his clipboard doesn't have to go from person to person to ask.
Yeah.
Back then, when I was on the zoning board of appeals for a while, Frank Cable, who was the chair, used to refer to the comprehensive plan.
Sure.
We were vetting, you know, someone would come before us, want a change of use or something like that.
Right.
We always looked at, you know, we
Yeah.
actually used it.
Yeah.
Right, so that's why we're doing this, so that people can use it, as Jay said, to refer to, or Courtney said, I don't remember who, but it's not complete, it's ongoing. Our job could be complete, but the plan needs
It's
to
an
be
ever-living
ongoing.
document,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think this page is great. I don't know, if there's anything I'm learning in graduate school right now, is don't make it harder than it is and follow the outline. Those are the two things my professor always stresses. I think we were like really close to that, like we have all the stuff we need, we have an outline, so it's like, don't make it any harder than it needs to be.
I mean, the commission worked hard on their plan, let's not
do.
Right.
reinvent the wheel.
So this is how they are always referring to things at the commission level. There's natural systems, built systems, community systems. Everything's structured all in that way. And you can see the economy thing is in there under community
Yep.
systems.
Yeah.
Alrighty then, well, I have a goal of keeping these meetings to an hour.
Yay.
So let's talk about our next, and my subtext here is I like to do this twice a month.
Yeah.
So is this a decent time for everybody?
Can we do it earlier? Jennifer. what-
Define earlier. Jennifer will shoot you.
I know. I was at 8:30 maybe. I mean, I'm willing to stay at 9, I just, you asked.
No, I have no problem with it. I just,
I'm fine with earlier.
Maybe start earlier.
I started at 6:30, so.
yeah,
I'm not calling that a rush.
It's not a housing thing that I'm, their meeting started at,
well,
but they go along, that's the thing.
yeah. Second and fourth Tuesdays? Thursdays, I'm sorry. Ding, 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 ding.
So is there,
At 8:30?
That's what seems to be the consensus. Bonnie?
is it possible to have, does it matter whether it's second and fourth or first and third?
Yes,
It
it does to me.
Oh,
I have the first Thursday, I'm busy,
I see.
so it does to me,
Okay.
but
Well, what about we just agree right now to meet on September 26th at 8:30 here. And with any luck, Jennifer will get her battery jumped and she'll be able to, and Janet Lesniak will be here as well. And then we can,
When was that, Suzanne? September?
26th, which is 2 weeks from today. I know Jennifer Wortkin may have a clams conflict, so I don't want to make this set in stone until I talk to Jennifer
I
and
think
find out.
her meetings are the first Wednesdays of the month.
I don't think it's a Thursday conflict,
No,
I
it's a
think it's
Wednesday,
a
yeah.
Wednesday. All right, so, but definitely for the 26th at 8:30, which means I'll miss the shark presentation of the 5th grade, but I can do that.
Oh, at 8:30 now.
Yes, 8:30 in deference to those, there's 3 of us who would like it earlier, so I have no dog in the fight, so 8:30 is fine for me. All right. So,
Move to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Right.
Non-debatable motion, there you go.